Alright, so here's the first guitar part for the intro of the song. Okay, so this is part one. So basically, you want to pay attention to the fingering that I'm using, okay? You can use whatever fingering you'd like, but this is just my preferred way of doing things, and I'll explain why in a second. So, keep alternating between the open D. Remember, the song's in drop D tuning, first of all. So put your guitar in drop D. Okay, so you keep alternating between the open D and the A string, okay? So it goes. Okay, see how I keep alternating? Okay, so I use this particular fingering because I like to set myself up for that little hammer pull there. So I like to go first finger, second finger, third finger on the 8th fret, then I slide my third finger up to the 10th fret, then I come back down with my second finger on the 8th fret because that sets me up for this little hammer pull. Okay, so I go. Okay, so played slow. Okay, so just practice that. Practice getting your timing down. Alright, and as soon as you do that little hammer pull thing, then you come down with your middle finger on the 8th fret, and you're still doing an alternating pattern. Okay, so I'm still doing that alternating pattern, but my middle finger is now, instead of alternating with the open D string, I'm now alternating with my middle finger on the 8th fret of the low D string. Okay, and then after you do that part, then you come down here with your first finger on the 7th fret, and you're still doing the alternating pattern. Alright, and you end with your pinky here on the 10th fret of the low D string. So just follow along with the tabs. You can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you see why I like to do this particular fingering, because first finger, second finger, third finger, slide up with my third, come back down with my second, do the hammer pull, so my pinky lands there, and then I bring my middle finger down for this part, so I'm set up for the, and then I bring my first finger down on the 7th fret, so I'm set up for this. Okay, so exactly as the tabs say, I keep alternating between the low D string and the A string. Alright, so that's guitar number one. Alright, so now my guitar number two is simply just harmonizing with that, okay? And again, you're still going to be alternating, and you're going to be alternating with the low D string, but now you're going to be alternating between the low D string and the higher D string. Okay? But you're only going to be doing it for the first part of this part, okay? And you'll see what I'm talking about. So this part goes. Okay, so again, I like to use this finger because I like to do the hammer pull with my first two fingers. Now you don't have to do it this way for this particular part, and again you can use whatever finger you want, but I find my first two fingers are the best for hammer pulls, okay? So I like to go first finger, second finger, third finger, second finger, then a hammer pull with my first and second. So, oops, I'm sorry. Okay, so with that part you keep alternating between the low D string and the higher D string. But now for the second part of this part, you don't do any alternations, okay? Because that's going to clash with the guitar number one. So for this part, you just go. Okay, so this whole part played slow sounds like this. This is guitar number two still. Oops. Okay, see how I'm only alternating for the first part of this part. So I'm going. Okay, so you don't want to keep that alternating pattern up for the entire part of this part for the second guitar part, okay? Because it'll clash with the first guitar part, which is going. So if you keep doing the open D string, it'll clash with those chords, okay? So that's the first two guitar parts, and if you play them together, it harmonizes nicely, as I showed in the demonstration video. So you can always refer back to the demonstration video to see how both guitar parts sound together and how to play this part up to speed. So I'm just going to play parts 1 and 2 up to speed real quick, and then we're going to, or I'm sorry, guitar parts 1 and guitar number 2 for part 1 up to speed, and then we're going to move on to part 2. So. Guitar part 2 is. Okay, so that's part 1. Let's move on to part 2 now. Alright, so here's part 2. And again, I'm going to show you my suggested fingering for this part, and you can do whatever feels comfortable to you, but I'm going to explain why I like this particular fingering for this part. So this part starts out with a little run on the D string, which goes. Alright, and I like to use my third finger for this one. Alright, and I'll explain why in a second. So. And then as soon as you do that little run, then you just do an open D and A string, which is just a power chord. Power chords in drop D are just the same fret. In this case, it's open, so it's not fretted at all. So it's. One more time. And then I like to use my second finger for the second part. Which starts on the G string, and it's 5, 3, and 2. Okay, and then it goes right to a B flat power chord, which is first fret of the A string, and then up to the C power chord, which is the third fret of the A string. So, and the reason I like to use my third finger for the first run is because you're ending on the C power chord and your third finger's right there, right at the spot where it starts at, okay? So it's... Alright, and the reason I like to use my second finger for the run on the G string is because I lightly touch the other strings with my first finger to mute out any noise. Okay, so let me show you how that's done. So every time I'm doing one of these runs, right before I start the run, I use my first finger, which is available because it's not playing anything, to just simply mute out any unwanted noise. Okay? So again, slower. Okay, so that's why I use my third finger here, because it's coming off of the C power chord, so it sets me up for that run. And then I'm using my second finger for the G string run because I can use my first finger to mute out the strings. And you can use, you know, whatever fingers you want, but this is just the way I find it to be the easiest. Okay, and then a little bit more of part two is it actually gets broken up by going. Okay, so it's just, you're just doing all power chords there. You're doing the open D string power chord, and then third fret power chord, which is on the third fret. All right, and as I said, it's a power chord because it's in drop D, so you're playing on the same fret, and then you're going up to the A string power chord, which is on the first fret, and then you're moving up to the C power chord, which is on the A string. So. Okay, so it actually only does that once or twice, I believe, in the song, or in this part. So I'm just playing it over and over so you can hear how it goes. So playing the whole part two of this song, which I guess is it's verse 1. The whole thing sounds like this. Okay, so it's a little tricky, but that's why I'm showing you the suggested fingerings that I'm using, because you got to mute this unwanted noise out, and you also want to set yourself up for these runs in the most efficient way possible. So that's why I do it the way I do. All right, so then we move on to part 3, which is the pre-chorus. All right, so this is a part you may find works, or you'll get down the best if you practice it to track. Actually, want to practice the whole song to track if possible, but this part especially, because you know it just has kind of a rhythm that relies on the one hit of the drum. So basically, the pattern goes 1 2 1 2 hit 1 2 3 5 hit 1 2 hit 1 2 3 5 hit 1 2 hit 1 2 3 5. Okay, so it goes. It's all on the open D and A string, so it's a power chord, low D power chord. Okay, so it does that 4 times. and then after it does that, then it goes into this little riff, which is alright, so you're alternating between the fretted notes on the A string and the open D string, okay? So played slow, it sounds like this. Alright, even slower. Alright, so pay attention to how many open Ds I'm doing in between each note, because you just kind of have to follow along with the tabs along and listen to the song. Okay, so that's only the first half of this part. So the second half of this part goes, and then it hits a artificial harmonic on the 11th fret of the D string. So played slow, all of it together. Okay, now I don't really have any suggested fingerings for this part. You can kind of do this however you want, but I usually like to do pinch harmonics with my, pinch harmonics is just another name for artificial harmonics, with my middle finger, okay? So however you want to set this up, that's just how I like to do it. I like to do it so whatever I play, I end up on that note right there with my middle finger, okay? So again, played slow. I'm not getting the best pinch harmonics right now. It's actually easier for me to play this faster. For some reason, when I play it up to speed, it's easier to get that pinch harmonic. Plus, I'm playing on a Strat right now, and a Strat is not really the best guitar to get pinch harmonics either. So, my Les Paul's in the shop. Otherwise, I'd be using that guitar for this video. But anyway, this part, played up to speed, is this. Alright, I didn't get one pinch harmonic any of those times. I apologize I apologize for that. Don't judge me on my weak pinch harmonic skills. But if you watch the demo video, I do get the pinch harmonic in the demo video. So, I can do it. Don't judge me. Alright, so that's that. So this whole part 3 played together goes... I'm ashamed to call myself a guitar player because of my weak pinch harmonic skills, but I promise you, I can do them sometimes. Do not judge me. Anyway, let's move on to part 4 and just forget that this weak pinch harmonic stuff ever happened. Alright, so moving on to part 4. Part 4 is the chorus of the song. And this starts out on a higher power chord, a D power chord up on the 5th fret of the A string, and then it moves to the lower power chord, which is just an open D power chord on the, the open D string and the A string. Okay, so that goes, and and then you do a little walk up from 2nd fret power chord, 3rd fret power chord, and then you're ending on the C power chord, which is on the A string. So all together we have. Okay, not too bad. And then I like to do this with these particular fingers. 2nd finger on the 3rd fret D string. So I set myself for the hammer pull with my 1st finger on the 2nd fret D string. And then my pinky comes down here to the 5th fret A string. Then my 2nd finger comes down to the 3rd fret A string. So all together we have. Played slower. Even slower yet. Okay, and then after that, you come down here and do a power chord open on the open, it's not open, but on the D string, 3rd fret D string. Okay. And then you end this phrase with a B flat power chord, which is 1st fret of the A string. Alright, so you can kind of do the rhythm however you feel fits with the song. In the demonstration video, I just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4 for this power chord right here. Okay, so I'm going to do it the way I do it in the demonstration video. So the whole thing, the first part of this part goes. Okay, so that's how I do it in the demonstration video. I think that's actually how he does it in the song. Point being is just once you're on that B flat chord, you want to kind of just be rhythmically correct so it flows with the music. Okay. So even if you were to switch up your rhythm a little bit on that B flat, it would still work. See what I mean? You can kind of do whatever you want. Just holding it out for the correct length of time is the important part. And then the second time around with the chorus, it starts out the same way, and then once it gets to the C, it doesn't do that run anymore. So it just goes like this. Alright, so it doesn't do that run, and then again it comes back down to this 3rd fret, power chord on the 3rd fret, D string. Alright, now this time it doesn't go to the B flat, it instead goes to the 5th fret. So it does one hit on the 5th fret, and then it does another hit of this funky little chord here, which is like this. Sounds really cool. And I play this with my 2nd finger, 5th fret low D string, 1st finger, 3rd fret A string, 3rd finger, 5th fret D string. Okay, so the second part of this whole thing sounds like this. Okay, so here I get that nice, open, just awesome metal sounding chord. I really like this chord. So, now playing both parts together, one and then the next part goes like this. Alright, and the total chorus plays plays this twice. Both of those parts are played twice. All right. So one other thing I noticed is that once I'm coming from the C power chord, after I do this little run, I notice that I come over with my first finger to play that power chord on the 3rd fret. Okay, you don't have to do it that way, but that's just how I do it. So okay, so I'm gonna play the whole chorus. I'm gonna play it slow, both parts, and it's gonna sound like this. Love that chord. It just sounds so great. I'm going to start using that a lot more in my playing. So that's the chorus. Okay, pretty straightforward. Play along with the track, get your rhythm down, not too bad. All right, so part 5 is next. All right, so this is another part that contains both guitar parts, which are harmonized, which I showed you in the demo. This is part 5. It comes right after the first chorus. So the first guitar part goes like this. Alright, so just following along the tabs. 7-5-7 on the D, 8-7-8 on the A. And then you switch it up to 5-7-5 on the D. And then 7-5-7 on the A. Okay? And then you're kind of walking up the harmonic minor scale here, starting on the 4th fret. And then it ends the phrase with the 8-7-8. Alright? So this part is actually pretty easy. It sounds really cool, but it's actually really not too bad. Play it a little slower. Alright. I don't really have any suggested fingerings for this part. You can do this however you want. I guess whenever I hammer pull, I tend to use my first 2 fingers. I don't think that's technically correct. If I was to show this to a classical guitar player, he may yell at me because I'm not doing things technically correct, but you know, I can still play the song and make it sound like the song, so whatever works for you. Okay, so that's guitar part number 1. Guitar part number 2 is the same patterns, but you're starting out with on the 3rd fret of the D string. So you're doing 3-2-3, and then coming down to 5-3-5 on the A, and then going 2-3-2 on the D, and then 4-2-4 on the A. And then again, you're in the harmonic minor scale here, but you're walking up in a different manner to harmonize with the first guitar. So it's open, 1, 4, 5 are the notes you're going to be using. Okay, so you have phrase with the 5-3-5. Just like the first guitar ends it with the 8-7-8, this one ends with the 5-3-5. Okay, so first the first guitar part, then the second guitar part. Again, whatever fingering works for you, go ahead and do that. And the way I'm able to make it harmonize together is I use my looping pedal, and I'll just show you that real quick. The first guitar part's already saved, and the second part is what I'm going to be playing. Okay, so that's one of the benefits of having looping pedals, so you can do stuff like that. All right, so on to part 6. All right, so part 6 is pretty easy. It starts out with just a bunch of open chugs, open D power chords, open D and A string, as the tab shows, and then we do a bunch of more power chords on the low D string. Okay. And of course power chords in drop D are just on the same fret. So it starts out by going 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 4 2 3 5 2 3 6 2 3 7 2 3 8 2 3 before it moves on to the second part of this part. Okay, pretty straightforward, just palm muted chugs, and then we move on to this particular pattern. So the pattern is open 1 2, open 1 2 3, open 1, open 1 2. Okay? Okay, and when I'm saying the 1 2 and 1 2 3, I'm not referring to the frets. I'm referring to open, and then you do 2 notes, and then open, and then 3 notes, and then open, then 1 note, then open, then 1 2. Okay, so it's open 12 11, open 10 9 8, open 7, open 6 5. Alright, so it's a little weird at first, but if you practice it a few times, you'll get used to it. Oop, I'm sorry. Alright, not too bad. So playing the whole this whole part, it goes like this. Okay, so this part's pretty straightforward, just all power chords on the low D string. All right, and then right after this part, it goes back into a previous part that we've already went over. It goes back into part 3, but I've already showed you that part. So moving on to this video, we're going to get to the last part, which is part 7. Alright, so the first half of this part is a series of bends, and it's not necessarily full bends or half bends or 3/4 bends. It's just, you just kind of hit the notes and just bend it up just to give it the sound that you're hearing in the song, okay? So it's going open 11, open 10, open 9, open 7, open 5. and for each of the fretted notes, you're just bending. So played up to speed, it goes. Alright, and it kind of drags that 5th fret bend up, or kind of drags that 5th fret one out a little longer. So play it a little slower. Pretty straightforward, okay? Just alternating between the open D string and the fretted notes. And then this part finishes out with you're actually playing it half the speed of the rest of the part, and you're doing open 5, open 5, open 3, open 2, and then you're ending on these little harmonized chords. So okay, so I think that those final chords are actually played with 2 guitar parts harmonized with each other, but it's easy to play this by yourself with just 1 guitar part, okay? So it's kind of like reverse power chords. Well, not really reverse power chords, but they're thirds. So it's a lot easier to just demonstrate the whole thing rather than try and talk my way through it. So okay, and that leads you right back into the chorus again. Alright, so I'm going to try playing that part a little slower. Okay, I think I might have made a mistake there. It's a lot easier to play this up to speed than it is slow, but just follow the tabs. The tabs are correct. Let me try doing this one more time. Okay, very easy. Open, fret, open, fret, open, fret, open. Every time you just open, fret, and then you're ending with those 2 nice little thirds chords harmonized, and then you move on to the second chorus of the song, and that's basically the whole song. Alright, so that's all 7 parts of the song. Okay, so in right underneath this video, I wrote down how the song structure goes. You know, because there's 7 different parts total in the song, but sometimes it keeps coming back to previous parts. So I wrote down the song structure of how it all goes, so you can follow along with that. And you know, just if any of the parts were, you know, you want to hear how they sound, play up to speed, you can always refer back to the demo video, because I played all 7 parts in the demo video. And last but not least, if I left anything out, or if you're still confused by anything, simply just send me a message and I'll answer your question. Okay? So thanks for watching.